Next, we're going to be looking at this idea of vision with periodization. So again, we haven't really defined what periodization is yet. That will be coming in the next video or two and how we do that. But the broad idea behind periodization is knowing where we want to take our athletes in the future and then developing a plan to execute that vision. So we're going to be talking about vision and philosophy and establishing your vision and philosophy as an athlete or a coach. So again, to do that, we are going to look back into the past to see what influences we have today. So we've talked about the Olympics in the previous video, right? The purpose or the goal of competition or athletes is to become faster, higher, stronger. And really there was a gentleman, a French physical educator, Pierre de Coubertin, he was French. He was in his 20s when he pursued his vision to recreate the Greek Olympics in modern times. And not only did he have this vision, but he put that vision into practice and coordinated with influential leaders of his time to create what we know now as the modern Olympics. Right, even our Green Bay Athletics has a vision for what our athletic program is and what our athletes encompass or embody. Right, to review that, right, the vision is to be renowned by academic success, right, that idea of success, commitment to student growth, to be energized by competitive outcomes, respected for our ambitious yet collaborative spirit, leading by example. Right, again, we see that idea of arete in there and kalos. So really, this idea of philosophy is the love of wisdom, right? It's what our values are. What do we value? It's our ethics or guiding principles. So, right, as a coach or an athlete, why do you show up to practice, right? What is your value? What is your guiding principle that will move you from A to B? Also, this idea of vision, right? Just the vision is to be able to see where you're going and to see the possibilities ahead to create a pathway to that destiny. Right? Even when people say, "Oh, that's too hard, that's impossible, you won't do it," people with strong vision see past that, through that, beyond that. They see the possibility when others don't. And they create that pathway through. So again, you can pause the video here and kind of think about these questions. And again, be prepared to discuss your answers to these questions in class. So think about, again, who were or are some visionary and successful coaches or leaders that you look up to? Do you have a coach or athlete or even some other type of leader you look up to? And why? What qualities or characteristics, what principles do they have or possess? And do you see any of those arete and kalos aspects in their leadership? And how do they display vision? So we're going to look at just a few coaches, right? That maybe have risen above the rest, right? That arete, the kalos we might look up to, we might admire. And if you're looking at going into coaching, especially basketball, right? You're probably familiar with John Wooden. He's written many books about leadership, but he was very scripted. He had 3x5 cards outlining pretty much every minute of practice. And he had vision. He had a lot of philosophy. So I just circled this one here, right? Right, so I circled this one here. This idea kind of captures this idea of vision and arete. Right? Conditioning comes from hard work during practice and proper mental and moral conduct. Right? We can see the idea of kalos, mental, moral, physical. Arete, to be overcome what is difficult, to rise to above. Right, you may heard of Jack Daniels, not the liquor, the coach. He was an Olympic distance running coach. He really pushed the envelope and of what's possible in running, and really was very a forerunner within the idea of coaching and running. And again, he had some basic laws of coaching he's outlined, but I just highlighted: know the purpose of every workout. Right? That's his philosophy, but as a coach, but even as an athlete. Why am I sweating and pushing myself and working hard? What is the purpose of this workout? And Pat Summitt, again, arguably one of the best coaches of all time, most successful is if we look at athletes and win-loss records. But again, she has a very strong philosophy or vision of her coaching. She dubbed it the definite dozen. So she upholds to or adheres to these and instills these in her athletes. Just a couple more examples here, right? Jill Ellis. So another excellent coach, Jill Ellis. She took on the U.S. women's national soccer team, which then brought them into kind of the success that they've had since then. I'd encourage you to look at this article. We may look at that in class here, but she was kind of a quiet, reserved young woman, but she participated in soccer, and really growing up, she didn't really have many opportunities to participate because she was a woman, as a girl, growing up kind of pre-Title IX, but that's another story. But her vision or her philosophy for the U.S. women's national team is when she first kind of was hired as coach, she told her athletes that her job as a coach was, part of what I do is to make this journey uncomfortable for you, because the greatest teacher is adversity. Right? That was her philosophy. And then she said of her athletes, they embraced that mindset because elite players want to be pushed. They want to keep climbing because they live for that challenge. Right? That's kind of that part of the arete. Like, walk that fine line of the highest point. And last quote here of another successful coach, right? The first African American Super Bowl champion, Tony Dungy. His philosophy, right? The first step towards creating an improved future is developing the ability to envision it. And that's really, I would say, that sentence really captures the idea, the philosophy behind periodization. The ability to see the future and create a plan or a pathway to realize that future. So to end this video here is, again, some discussion questions, some things to think about for you to answer. What is the goal of an athlete? How do you help athletes accomplish their goals? How do we bring vision into practice? And what is your training or coaching philosophy? Again, I want you to incorporate some of these things into your portfolio. Again, these will change and adapt probably over time, but As you think about the scientific conditioning of athletes, we have to have a purpose or a vision for it.